The Justice Department watchdog Michael Horowitz set to face bipartisan grilling in just hours, testifying before the Senate on his 400-plus page report detailing 17 significant errors in the FBI's FISA surveillance applications of former Trump campaign associate Carter Page. He's with us live. Carter, good to have you on Fox News at Night.
Great to be with you, Shannon.
Okay, I want to read one assessment that comes in from Susan Hennessy on Twitter. She is a legal analyst, former attorney on another network. She says, thus far, I'd say FBI officials are 95% vindicated by this. Carter Page is 30% vindicated, and Trump is not vindicated one iota. Papadopoulos vindicated -10, applying obviously highly scientific vindication metrics. In short, no wonder Bill Barr is so bummed. Is that how you read this?
Yeah, it's funny she said 30%. I had zero input in this at all. According to the Privacy Act, you know, if the government has a system of records about you, you should be able to review it and comment. I was never given that opportunity, and a lot of those people that, you know, she's close with were given, you know, her fellow analysts from that, you know, those other networks. So it's unfortunate.
Well, I mean, the more that I read, it was so interesting to me that there was essentially, in many cases, what people would argue exculpatory information regarding you that was not included. If I'm a FISA judge, I'm furious that I was given this information and awarded warrants based on what was presented in front of me. So with all of that outlined, this is the reaction from the former FBI director, James Comey. He wrote an opinion piece. He says the truth's finally out. The FBI fulfilled its mission. He says the investigation included electronic surveillance of one person, Carter Page, a former Trump campaign advisor with a long relationship with Russia and a history of contacts with Russian intelligence. He went on to say the inspector general found mistakes, 17 of them, things the FBI should have done differently or better. That's always unfortunate, but human beings make mistakes. Doesn't sound like much of an apology. Is that what you are hoping for from him?
Oh, I think, again, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much in here, and there's so much more. Congressman Nunes was on earlier, and, you know, he said every page has a bombshell. Well, I agree with him, but all of those bombshells, you know, I see so much more beyond that, having actually lived this. It's unfortunate I had no input on this whatsoever, and it's all just an internal HR kind of style document. But so I think, you know, we're just at the tip, you know, this is the tip of the iceberg here.
What are your hopes moving forward? Because obviously we now wait for U.S. Attorney John Durham, who has completely different powers when it comes to forcing people to testify, subpoena documents, all these things that Horowitz really couldn't do. Are you getting your hopes up about that one? Well,
I'm getting my hopes up, and I think, you know, it's been such an outpouring of support nationwide from people of both parties that, and I think, you know, they realize what this was just based on nothing. You know, I think there's no facts, and it's just a made-up story. So I think there is a lot that needs to be done to fix our justice system, which had these severe irregularities. And I think things that happened to me, you know, this could happen to anyone. And, you know, we talk about bias. Let me tell you, there were definitely some severe biases. And again, based on, you know, his portrayal of Russia, right? You know, I have a certain perspective on foreign policy in Russia. And there may not have been domestic political bias, but, you know, people, you know, under the First Amendment are allowed to have their own opinion. I think very similar to President Trump, who has also, you know, talked about exploring certain new possibilities on that front.
And any American, regardless of ideology or party, should be worried that the government could have someone manipulating information in order to get surveillance on them. I quickly want to ask you about this. Benny Johnson tweeting yesterday, so when does Carter Page drop a massive, fully justified lawsuit against the FBI, naming all the corrupt hacks who ruined his name and damn near destroyed his life because of their seething partisan hatred for real Donald Trump? I'd personally help pay lawyers' fees. Who's with me? What are the plans? Well,
there is a very strong team. I don't have an announcement yet. But suffice to say, you know, there's a very strong team.
That's Exhibit A.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
We'll wait for Exhibit B in the Durham report as well. Carter Page, good to see you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thanks.